When I was 17, my mom came into money. She tried to keep it quiet, but she paid off my dad's debts, bought him a small house, paid off her debts and paid for my sister's college and set up funds for mine. She had a boyfriend at the time, and shortly after, him and his son, who was 7, moved into our new house. Previously, he and the kid lived with his sister. Over the next few years, Mom bought my sister a house after she graduated college. Her boyfriend lived with us and didn't pay anything, but he did work. When I was 21, Mom got diagnosed with cancer. It wasn't good. She sat me and my sister down and went over exactly how much money there was. She intended to give her current house to me, and both me and my sister were left with a large sum at the end of it. She asked if I would allow her boyfriend to stay in the house with his son until he got his own place. I agreed. Before she died, she told her boyfriend he would need to look for his own place but had time to save more for that journey. For the last 4 years, he's continued to reside in the house with his son. I haven't minded because we get along okay. I pay all the bills, but he does buy food for him and his kid. He's dated on and off, but mostly kept the women out of this house, which I respected him for, until his current partner. She's been in my house 3 times, and at first, besides feeling a little uncomfortable, I was okay with her. The last time this past weekend was when I lost my composure. I was making myself some lunch when she came walking downstairs. She grabbed a plate and went to grab food out of my pan. I asked her what she thought she was doing. She started telling me how I should look for somewhere else to live, and leeching off my dead mom's past relationship as an adult was pathetic. I hollered for my mom's old boyfriend. He came down and I told him I didn't know what his current girlfriend thought, but I wouldn't be disrespected in my house. He wouldn't even look me in the eyes as he mumbled something about my mom promising him the house, and he was just being kind, letting me stay. Firstly, that isn't remotely true. Mom pulled him and me together after she asked if he could stay to set expectations. My mom met him shortly before she won the money and told him and us girls that she had no intention of leaving him money. She sets aside a fund for his son for college when he gets there, but he cannot touch it, only his son can. He's lived in this house for almost 8 years without paying a dime. He should have plenty of money, and if he doesn't, that's on him. I told him he had 30 days to leave. I wasn't going to house someone who would lie and disrespect me in my house. He left that night with his son, but his ex-wife called to tell me I was cruel and an idiot for her son losing his house. He's here every other week. I really feel like my mom didn't expect him to be here still, but my sister said she feels like I'm breaking my promise to my mom, and that made me feel like maybe I am the idiot. Edit, the girlfriend seemed smug the whole time, so I suspect she put him up to it because he and I always got along before this. He didn't argue when I kicked him out. She kept an angry face on but said nothing to me and walked out with him. He texted me, asked to come by this weekend to get his stuff, and asked if I'd be willing to talk. I told him my dad and boyfriend would be here and he agreed. Not the idiot. It sounds like he lied to her and she was looking to kick you out based on the lie. What I find weird is that she was so mean and aggressive right from the very start, which makes me think that your mom's boyfriend had used the words parasite, leeching to describe you to her before. I don't know about you, but I'd be furious if someone who was mooching off of me disrespected me like that. They'd have no access to anything of mine ever again. He was living somewhere completely rent-free and didn't have to worry about paying for his son's school, and he still chose to do what he did. Crazy work by him. He had at least 4 years to save before Opie's mother passed away, plus the 4 years since then. At that time, he'd only been paying for food and presumably his phone, car insurance, fuel, etc. He should have incredibly healthy savings, especially as he was living with his sister to save up before that. The mother probably thought that he'd take a month or 2 to grieve, spend a month or 4 looking in earnest, and be out of Opie's hair within the year. Where the heck is his money going if he can't get his own place? Of course, he could afford to move out straight away, he just doesn't want to. That man is a freeloader. Opie, your mom asked you to let him stay so he could save for his own place, but he didn't. He lied to his girl, caught in the lie and tried to save face. Your mom chose who she gave it to, and he didn't get the house. You did. He can kick rocks. Lastly, his son didn't lose his home. His dad lost his by being a blunt tool. His issue, not yours. Update, am I the idiot for kicking out my mom's boyfriend? I do want to take a moment to address some things. 1. There are trusts set up and neither my sister nor I have full access to the money left to us. This was done both because my sister and I were in our early 20s when my mom died, and she wanted to make sure we had some stability before we had access and to protect us from people who might try to take advantage, especially while we were grieving. 2. I have a lawyer. He's already informed me legally as to my area's eviction laws, and my mom's former boyfriend will be served with formal eviction papers just to cover me even after today. So, to the update. My dad came over, decided not to have my boyfriend over since he doesn't know about the money side, and I wasn't trying to have the boyfriend out of the situation, this morning, and brought along my cousin. For easier explanation, I'm going to call Mom's former boyfriend Caleb. Caleb showed up at about 10 a.m. my time and talked to my dad, then asked if he could spend a few minutes alone with me. Dad nodded, so my cousin and he entered the kitchen, and Caleb and I sat in the living room. I'll be honest, I didn't expect it to go as it did, but I'm glad it did. Caleb started with an apology. I don't remember all of the words he said, but the basics were that he missed my mom, he's been lonely but not alone thanks to his son and me. He was sorry for what had happened, and he got caught up in lust and let someone else fill his head with ideas, and that he owned up to his mistakes and should have never put up with someone who would disrespect me or my mom's memory. He tried to hand me a cashier's check for $15,000. He said it wasn't much, but he wanted me to know he appreciated me and living with me, and that he wanted to pay back some of what he owed. I refused the check in part because I never wanted his money, but I also don't want to give him any possible legal leg to stand on if this is somehow him trying to stay. I told him the first part and told him to put it towards a house. He told me he's living with his sister, but is going to look at houses with a realtor next week. He said his son was asking about our next hangout date, and that both my sister and I were welcome to arrange a time with him. After all of that, my dad and cousin helped him get all the stuff out of the house that he owned. He'd brought a U-Haul, and he gave me back my house keys. He apologized again and left. Not what I expected, but it all went well, and I feel a lot less like I let my mom down. OP, you gained nothing by letting him stay for this long. The minute he started bringing ladies over should have been his clue to get out of your house, and that would have been the conversation I'd have had with him. You're dating again, which is good for you. Now it's time to get your own place so you can build a life with them in a home that my mother was not in. For peace of mind, I'd recommend changing the locks. Good luck to you. I adore the man I've been dating for 2+ years. He's smart, sensitive and kind, but we have a different relationship with money in that I'm fairly frugal and he's not. He's been unemployed for over a year. Before he lost his job, he made more than I did and has been working furiously to get a job ever since. At this point, though, I have significantly more money than he does. I'm fine paying for experiences because I would prefer to do things together rather than apart. As such, I've been mostly picking up the tab when we go out to dinner. Here's where the conflict comes in. The last time we went out, he ordered the most expensive appetizer and entree on the menu. I pointed this out because, although he usually orders more than I do, I'm a vegetarian and don't eat as much as he does, this was more than usual, and I was raised that it isn't polite to order the most expensive things when someone else is buying. He became angry and felt that I'd been silently judging him for every meal I'd taken him out to in the past. He felt as if I was accusing him of taking advantage of me, the idea of which repulsed him. He said he would rather walk home than accept a ride with me. Note, I never said these things, nor do I think them, and I tried multiple times to communicate this to him. I was shocked and hurt that this would be his response. I tried to tell him that I was responding to this specific event and that I only said anything because I was raised that you simply didn't order the most expensive thing on the menu. He didn't believe me, and I was in tears by the end of the meal. He said that I knew he was having issues with money and that it was insensitive to point out this behavior while we were at dinner, that if I had an issue, I should have told him later and with more sensitivity. This is not the first time I've said something fairly innocuous but provoked an angry response from him. So, am I the idiot for pointing out that he ordered the most expensive things on the menu? At this point, I honestly don't know. I didn't set out to hurt his feelings, but I feel as if I'm in my own right to say something. Not the idiot. A master course on DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Your boyfriend got caught acting poorly and couldn't admit he was wrong, so he attacked you to cover up, leaving you in tears. He also has no problem taking advantage of your wallet. Is that really what you want in a partner? He sounds immature and uncouth to me. Disagree. Everyone's the idiot here. If you take someone out, you shouldn't really be pointing out what they can and cannot have. At the same time, he definitely overreacted. I would have apologized and not gone out with you again. It just sounds like you guys aren't compatible. I agree. Everyone's an idiot here. I would never order the most expensive thing with colleagues or friends paying, but my partner? I wouldn't even notice. It's ruder to police what my partner orders than to order the most expensive item. You just aren't compatible. I'd be so hurt if my husband had ever treated me this way when dating. That said, the boyfriend did overreact in this case. My 41 sister-in-law's 37 wedding just got ruined, and she's understandably depressed. My boyfriend, 39, is asking me to help with some type of a do-over. I don't mind helping out, but she's very difficult, and I can see us locking horns along the way despite my best intentions. Not because I would want to impose my taste for a do-over, but because she's proven that she's never satisfied. She just had a potluck wedding that ended in guests refusing to show up, and half of the wedding was kind of undone. The venue was provided by their aunt, her place. The bride and groom rented their outfits and paid for some other details, but the food and drink were potluck-based. The music would be played by a friend who made mistakes during the rehearsal and wedding. The rest that got ruined came from people who got angry and didn't show up. I want to support my sister-in-law, but being told to help with a do-over is huge pressure. I suggested they get their wedding clothes on and take pictures in a nicer setting, but they seem to have their hearts on a full party. I talked to my boyfriend and expressed my concerns. 1, she's very hard to please, and she doesn't have money to get what she wants. 2, I noticed that the people who backed out, cancelled at the last minute, were at odds with being asked for additional things. 3, I own a tiny online shop and may have a few dresses that fit her, but she will need to buy them. Alterations, modifications, and wearing anything without a purchase will be off limits. I don't want to risk any damage. He began talking and gradually got angrier until he said I was trying to kick his family while they were down. My best friend says I was silly to bring up my shop, considering how he is about his family, and that I should have waited until he said anything. The thing is that I get extra income from my small business, and this is how I got through my post-degree and became more financially stable. My sister-in-law called me and she was crying so bad, just to vent, that I felt terrible about her big day being destroyed. Am I the idiot for hesitating to get involved? Oh my goodness, she's 37 years old, not a teenager who can't afford what she wants. Don't get sucked in, OP. Your sister-in-law needs to come up with a real plan and then execute it. I mean, her first plan was a potluck wedding. I would dread helping her with a do-over too. You are not the idiot. I know, what was she thinking? That her aunt's house would suddenly not look horrible in photos, that the family would show up with catering organised, and that her friend would actually reveal that they were a DJ? She got the wedding she didn't pay for. It sucks, but for those of us who can't afford a wedding, including those without rich families who will foot the bill, we don't get a wedding. I had a potluck reception at my wedding. The church baked 6 hams as well. The food was good and no one went hungry. We were poor, so I made the dresses, used silk flowers, had a friend DJ, plus some friends in a band played for us, lots of dancing. Our photos are not Instagram worthy, taken by a friend, but they are full of people who loved us and wanted to be there. Yeah, I think her wedding was missing the key ingredient, full of people who love them. Maybe there are not many of those for good reasons. OP, the problem here, outside of your justifiable worry about your dresses, is that she's repeating the pattern that didn't work the first time. What makes her think things will be different this time? People can still flake when bringing stuff or just not show up. In fact, given that this is a do-over, many guests will feel even less enthusiasm than they did the first time. Don't help with a new wedding. I'm a mother of a nearly adult daughter who's a senior in high school. She's been putting off getting a job for a few weeks. She applied to 6 over the past 3 weeks with no response, so my husband and I decided to put our feet down. We gave her until 8 p.m. to draft us a multi-week plan regarding how she plans to get a job, e.g. how many jobs a week, which jobs, etc. She gave us a half-done paper that said, apply to 3 jobs a week. We told her that this was unacceptable and that she wasn't even trying to get a job. She then asked us aggressively how many jobs we thought she should apply to, and I said that she should apply to 3 a day. My daughter then said, well then, how am I supposed to devise a multi-week plan if I'm already going to be applying to 21 jobs a week? We said that it's still a multi-week plan consisting of applying to a total of 42 jobs over 2 weeks. She got very upset at us, cried and yelled, and locked herself in the bathroom for the rest of the night. It was her job to do dishes today, and we reminded her with a text about this, to which she refused to do them. We didn't know what to do and threatened not to let her go to her friend's debutante ball and winter formal after party. I just wanted to learn to be independent and prepared with some funds before heading to college. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Why does she even need to apply for 42 jobs? If you want to teach her to be independent, creating unnecessary stress isn't going to help with that. Plus, how many part-time job options in your area would hire someone her age? There's a fine line between teaching your kids the harsh reality of the world and pushing them over the edge. Yup, this kid is in school for how many hours a week, sleeps for X hours a week, and has schoolwork and other stuff to do, and is supposed to apply for 3 jobs per day? Likely mom and dad haven't applied for a job in quite a long time, since they have no idea how long it takes to find and fill out an application online. I agree, and instead of fighting with her, it would be much more effective if you sit down, help her write a resume, learn how to write a cover letter, understand want ads, etc. Then there's the whole interview process, from what to wear to body language to questions. Wanting to set up your daughter for success is a great start, but you must apply to 42 jobs over the next 2 weeks is a bad plan. Get a grip, show your daughter some love, and cut her some slack.